I don't want to talk about the Holocaust, mainly because you've all heard a lot about the Holocaust, and we can get to it later. But there's one sliver, one piece of the Holocaust that I think is important to convey. And it speaks to the Israeli Jewish experience, because the Israeli Jews are the descendants and heirs of the Holocaust, much more than American Jews. Most Holocaust survivors went to Israel. Most Holocaust survivors helped build the Israeli ethos and sense of the world. And it is a simple fact of the Holocaust that huge numbers of individual Europeans helped Jews. They did, and they are the slivers of light. But no group anywhere in Europe collectively came to the Jews' defense. And in fact, in most places, the Nazis found willing collaborators. And in the few places where they did not have collaboration on the ground of locals, they failed to kill the Jews. So for example, when the Nazis show up in Belgium, in Flemish Antwerp, they round up 2/3 of the Jews, 65% of the Jews, and they use the local police to do it, because they collaborated in Flemish Antwerp with the Nazi conquerors. But in Brussels, French-speaking Brussels, citizens, officials refused to help. And where they refused to help, the Nazi success rate was halved. It was barely 37% of the Jews. In Hungary, Hungarians deported 437,000 Jews to Auschwitz in the summer of 1944. No German was involved in running that operation, not until they reached the Hungarian border. But these were Yiddish-speaking rural Jews from the provinces. When the Nazis came and demanded Budapest Jews, assimilated middle-class doctors, scientists, lawyers, the Hungarian government refused. And that meant that the Nazis could not implement large-scale killings in Budapest. Most of Budapest Jews, because of that simple fact, survived the war. It's the same thing in Romania, in Bulgaria, in Greece. Greek collaboration in Salonika, because the Greeks were interested in losing its ethnic minorities and Greekifying Salonika, the Nazis were able to take the Jews of Salonika. The Greeks refused to give up the Jews of Athens, and it didn't work. Everywhere the locals didn't cooperate, the Jews were saved. And in almost every place, the locals cooperated, and the Jews were destroyed. We know so much about the Nazis. We focus on the Nazi centers of command, on the Nazi policy, on the technology of the genocide, and it's absolutely correct to do that. But they would not have succeeded without local help all over Europe. When the Nazis came asking for the Jews, nearly everyone handed them over. That's the fundamental lived experience of the Jews of Europe. All these museums exist arguing that the Holocaust's lesson is don't be intolerant. That's not the point. If you actually lived through it, it might be reasonable for you to reach the conclusion that in the end, everybody should have their own place. And that's the only safety to be found, because you can't beat human nature. Don't be intolerant doesn't seem like it would have held off the Nazi war machine.